Okay, so now we're going to look at using trigonometry, specifically here the tangent ratio, to find a missing side. So let's jump right into an example. Let's say I've got the 20-degree angle. I want to find this side, but I know that this one has a length of 8 centimeters. Okay, so first of all, I always label the sides of my triangle. This is my right angle, so the side that's across from the right angle is this side right here. That's called the hypotenuse. This is the angle of interest, so across from the angle of interest is my opposite side, and next to my angle of interest, or the other side that's left over, is the adjacent. Okay? Now the tangent ratio, essentially what it does is it just tells you the ratio between two sides. So in any triangle, with any 20-degree angle, the ratio of the opposite to the adjacent side is always the same. No matter what the lengths are, the ratios of the sides will always be the same, okay, based on the angle. So for the tangent of the angle, it's always going to be the ratio of the opposite side with the adjacent side. So it's the opposite over the adjacent ratio. I know that my A is a 20-degree angle here, so I've got tan of 20 degrees equals my fraction. I put my opposite length on top. Well, my opposite I don't know, so I'll call it x. My adjacent is on bottom. Well, that's an 8. Alright? So what I can do now is I can find out what the tangent of 20 degrees is by punching that in my calculator. Now, it depends on how your calculator works here. On mine, you can see that I can just hit my tangent button, so tan, and then type in 20. Okay? And then I can press equals, and I get the number 0.36397 blah blah blah, right? If you have a different calculator, you may need to type in the 20 first and then hit your tan button. But regardless, if you do it and you don't get this number, your calculator's probably in radians mode. So what you'll have to do is press the mode button. On a TI-83 it's a little bit different, but in most typical scientific calculators, you just you'll see a little light highlighted somewhere at the top. It needs to say DEG or DRG, so you just hit the mode button a couple times until the DEG comes up. If you're not sure how to do it on your specific calculator, don't hesitate to get in touch. Okay? So I know that the tangent of 20 degrees is 0.364, we'll say. We'll round it to 3 decimal places. So 0.364. So that means for any triangle that has a 20-degree angle, when I take my opposite and divide it by my adjacent, I always get 0.364. I never get anything else. Okay? So that's the nice thing about that tangent ratio and how it can be so helpful. If I know that the ratio between these two sides is always 0.364, then I can now use a bit of cross multiplication to find out what this missing value has to be. Right? So cross multiplication can be used when I have a fraction equal to a fraction. So I don't have a fraction here, but I can make it a fraction by writing it over 1. And now I can just cross multiply this thing, right? So to cross multiply, this would just be 8 times 0.364, and then divided by 1. Of course, division by 1 doesn't change anything, so I can just punch that in my calculator now. So what I recommend is leaving this number in your calculator and then just going ahead and pressing times. So you see how my calculator writes A and S in here? That means it's taking the answer of the previous calculation. Now it's going to multiply it by, in this case, 8. So times 8. And then, of course, dividing by 1 doesn't change anything, so I don't need to write it in. I can if I want, so I can write divide by 1. And press equals. So it gives me about 2.9. So x is approximately 2.9. So this would tell me that this length here is about 2.9.